I think it's a sign that the rainy season has passed. Let's hope so. This is Richard Nikoley. I blog at freetheanimal.com, and I'm on my morning walk here at Niharn Lake Beach area. And actually it's Ocean Beach, and there's a lagoon that they call Niharn Lake. It's just in Rawai, this very south of Phuket, for those who are just seeing me for the first time. I'm on my morning 7-kilometer barefoot walk, and now that the rainy season is over, as you can see the sky behind me, or it looks to be over. Oh, what a year this year was. Wow. And it's like 10 times worse than the last 2 years of rainy season combined. Unbelievable. Anyway, so what am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about excess mortality. Now, to preface that, go back to the paleo diet, or low carb diet, or even keto diet. You know, we can big tent this part of it. You know, real foods, whole foods. So those who are on dietary extremes, you know, from the one extreme, veganism, to the other extreme, carnivore, you know, a bit, so on those extremes, particularly the vegan side or the plant-based side, they tend to have their favorite causes of death, right? Typically heart disease. For the most part, it's heart disease, right? And they have their favorite causes also of debilitating diseases. You know, they don't necessarily kill you early, but they're not pleasant, so on and so forth. So what that tends to do is they cherry pick studies that show a benefit to their dietary intervention in terms of those diseases. Right? But the problem with that is when you cherry pick a cause of death, you don't know whether it really helped people live longer. Because really what you're out for is number one, longevity, and number two, quality of life. You know, if you're gonna live 10 years longer, great, but you want it to be 10 good years, right? So those two things. But what they do with these diets, those who are ideological and religious and activist about their dietary interventions, and this to some extent applies to the carnivore and keto crowd too. I mean, they're so catechismic and proscriptive and prescriptive and religious about it, you know, and they're guilty of some of the same sins. Amen. So but what you've got to do is, if you're going to pick out a disease and say, okay, it helps with this, you've got to correct against all-cause mortality. So you have to do two things. Say it, number one, it helped in whatever our pet disease is, and number two, all-cause mortality, death from anything, went down. They don't want to do that because that's hard to show. You got to wait till people die. You know, can't get your study out in order to pump your latest book or whatever the fuck you're trying to do, or your supplement, or you know, whatever. Anyway, so in the case of covidiacy, I was early on in this. I was like, well, what's all-cause mortality? You know, and there's this one site, Euromomo, that does a good job. 27 countries, I believe, report weekly of their death statistics, not from any cause, just how many people died that week, right? So I was all over this. Like, what they do is they look at the mortality in the same week over the past 5 years, and they average that. So if it's 2020, you're looking at 14, 15, 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, right? So in that same week of the year, and average that out, and that's what your expected mortality is for 2020, right? And typically it's going to be a little bit over because of population growth, right? But other things that make it naturally go over is when you have years where, so amongst that 5 years, you might have two preceding years, 1 or 2 or even 3, where the actual death numbers were lower than what was expected. So it's kind of like people stacking up past their due date, sort of a crass way to say it, but you know, if you know, environmental factors, nicer weather, other things like that, and people didn't die when they otherwise would have, and these number of excess living, I guess you could put it, stack up, and so then a year comes along where boom, you know. And I think that's pretty much what happened with the covidiacy, to a large extent. Yes, there was some above average, but it wasn't hugely pronounced. And there were other years, you look back, it's like, well, what about those spikes, you know? And of course, there's 2 reasons why this whole covidiacy was allowed to basically lay waste to the entire fucking planet. But the bright side of that, the double-edged sword, the silver lining, is that it exposed all the fucking morons. And now that masks aren't required in most places, including where I live here, it's still daily exposing fucking morons. And you're like, Jesus Christ, no wonder we went all through that. These people are fucking morons. I live here in Hawaii, so when they did away with it, a lot of people, they were still encouraged to wear them. So a lot of people did, right? I would say 70 to 80% were still wearing them voluntarily, right? But here, outside of the big city, that is diminished to where it's more like, I don't know, 2 out of 10, something like that, right? Well, I just got back from Bangkok for 4 days, and I was blown away. It's like up to 90%, 9 out of 10 people, Thais primarily, even foreigners, wearing their masks all over the place. I'm like, wow, the world is awash in fucking morons. And I'm sorry, but if you're wearing a mask still when you don't have to, you are a fucking moron. There are no exceptions. Okay, so anyway, excess mortality. if you look through the whole COVIDiacy, you know, the heights of it, there just wasn't a ton of it that could be attributed, right? And plus, we already know there was great enthusiasm for various adverse incentives, like paying hospitals a bunch of money to say this was a COVID death. Right? What do you think you're gonna get? You're gonna get what you want, which is lots of deaths marked as COVID. Duh. Right? That the whole world lies to themselves, even on that whole one score, combined with morons wearing masks. I mean, it just shows you how lost civilization is on planet Earth. So I have this saying, make Noah great again, if you know what I mean. So it's my blurry misanthropy showing through. Okay, but here's the thing. So the COVIDiacy didn't really produce a lot of excess mortality, and especially if you correct for all the bullshit, all the lies and the bullshit and all the fraud, right? 6 million deaths. Bullshit. I'd be surprised if there were actually 1 million true from COVIDiacy deaths. Most, but you know, certainly there were a lot of deaths from respiratory-like illness, you know, cold, flu, whatnot, you know, as has always been the case. But this was a pet case, this was a pet thing because of fucking phones. Everybody has one in their pocket, which doubles as a inlet for all manner of alarmist crap, you know, that's accessible 24/7, and you know, and it's a publishing platform where literally every individual on the planet has the potential for something they post to go viral and be seen by millions of people, right? So that's one thing that made this happen. The other reason it happened was because of what I've already said. You know, basically the incentives, the way the world was changing, the ability to censor speech, which all began kind of with Brexit and Trump, you know, where the whole world got together and said, you know, here's what it's going to be. But then, of course, there were the jabs, and so that's where now we see no shit of excess mortality, and it's in your face, and it's all age groups. Children suddenly dying of heart attacks, and it's being, you know, ignored by the mainstream press, ignored by the institutions even, right? You know why? Very simply because it's too ominous to confront, but confront it they will. You know, I'm seeing more and more reports that suggest this isn't going away. I mean, if it went away, you know, even if there was light acknowledgement that, yeah, that medical experiment contributed, if you can say, well, it's over now, you know, more careful next time, blah, 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 blah. But there's data now to suggest that it ain't going away. It's a constant or getting worse and worse. Worse and worse. Heart attacks, cancer that's popping up, and cancers coming back that have been in remission for years. Stuff like this, right? Immune stuff, where the immune system is compromised, and on and on and on. And as regretful as it is, there is, natural justice involved here. I mean, nature culls stupidity. That's why we're so much better off than we were when, you could first call us Homo sapiens a couple 100,000 years ago, right? Come a long way, baby. Why is that? Because nature gets rid of the fucking stupid, gets rid of the fucking moron. And one hopes that the stupid and the moron see their end of day before they reproduce, right? But even that's even for those who don't, they end up being an influence to children and so on, So, but I mean, it's puerile to take pleasure in the demise of others, right? So as far as I go with that is that well, it's nature. It's like the Darwin Awards that we laugh at every year, just on a much, much larger scale. The Darwin Awards. Why would you take a shot because someone told you so? A politician told you so, or a journalist told you so. Are you a fucking idiot? It was never even a question for me. I would have never considered it on any terms whatsoever. That's what I'm made of. And it makes me better than most people on the planet. That's just a simple fact. I'm smarter. I'm more critical. I hate a lot more people, because for good reason. And I don't do bullshit. I don't lie. And if I lie, it's because it's a good one, and it's someone who deserves to be lied to. Lie better. I will lie to a leftist in a heartbeat. Why not? During that whole thing, you go into a restaurant, right? They say, "Are you vaccinated?" Yeah, of course. Fucking lie. Who cares? Lie better. All right. So anyway, the excess mortality. I don't know. The excess mortality. If it doesn't die down, there's a movie out now documenting it. I hear there's some problems with it, but even the critics are saying there are some worth watchable parts of it, like the interviews with the morticians, embalmers and stuff, and shit that they found. So I haven't actually checked it out yet, but I'm going to.